Hello friends, welcome to Easy Code for All. In this video, we will be learning all the tools available in this platform. Let's go one by one. So all the tools are available in the left side. First tool is generate Java code to parse XML. Normally this tool is used to generate Java code which can be used to read the data from XML and or to produce a XML. In our project, most of the time we need to read the data from XML or we need to create a XML to post into the queue or maybe a service call. So we can get the Java code. This button will give you the Java code to read the data from XML, and this button will give you to create a XML document. So you can easily generate the code just providing your XML as the input. Okay, let's move into the next one. Next one is generate Java code to parse JSON. It is similar to last one. Here, this tool will give you a Java code which can be used to read the data from JSON. So in this tool, it will produce Java code for you which can be used to read the data from the JSON. So if we need to read the JSON data from JSON, you can use this tool and just provide your input JSON from which you need to read the data, and then just you hit a button Java code to parse JSON. Same way, if you want to produce a JSON, that Java code also you can produce it or you can generate it. So just give your JSON as the input and then you just need to hit the button. So rest of the options are self-explanatory and you can explore it, as in this video it's a kind of I'll be covering all the tools. So I'm not going in the details of each of the tool. In the summary, just I'm explaining the purpose of the tool and how to use the tool. Third one is the generate XSLT code. Okay. So normally we write XSLT code to transform one XML to another XML. Okay. So here if you provide the source and target XML, it will generate the XSLT code for you. Okay. So just give the source XML and target XML and hit a button. It will generate the XSLT code for you. Okay. So XSLT is used for XML transformation. That code you can generate it. Same way XSLT to produce JSON. So we apply XSLT on XML to produce another XML. Nowadays we are using REST API very frequently. To invoke a REST API, normally we use JSON. Okay. So sometimes we have a XML, but we need to have a JSON to do a web service call. So to get JSON from XML, you can use XSLT. You can use XSLT to, or rather you can apply XSLT on XML to produce JSON. So that XSLT code you can generate it from here. Okay. So just you need to give your XML, source XML and target XSLT. It will generate the XSLT code for you. Okay. Next one is your uh, REST API or REST service code end to end. So this tool will generate the REST API code or web service code end to end. Let me explain a little bit details. So very frequently we develop a web service or we expose a web service for our consumer. So to develop a web service, we need to write lot of code, like we need to write controller, bean classes, service classes, DAO classes, as well as we need to like create the database table also. Using this tool, you will be able to generate all the code required for a REST service. Okay, and this tool assume that REST service will be developed using Spring or Spring Boot, using Spring JDBC template or Spring Boot. So you can use this tool to generate REST API code end to end. And here also, normally there are three type of REST API. One is like to create something, create a resource. Another is update a resource. Third one is to get the details of the resource. Another is a list of resource. Okay. So you can provide your input XML or JSON. Okay. And you can generate the code, entire web service code using this tool. And this tool is the I mean maximum complex tool, and it can give you the maximum benefit. Like 1 week work you can get it done by kind of 1 hour. Okay, so this tool has the maximum complexity as well as maximum logic, because it generates all the code required to develop a web service. Hmm. Same way, you can yeah, this one create a web service to update a service. Okay, just you need to provide the your input. But for the type of service, like one is a gate, another is a list API or list service. Get service like get employee details, get order details, get author details. So in that case, normally as the input we pass only one or two parameter like author ID or this one employee ID. In the output we expect the details of the employee or author object actually. So when you are using this link to generate code, you should provide as a output XML. Okay, you should provide the output JSON. Okay, you should provide the output JSON instead of input, because it's a GET API. Here, output will be the maximum, input will be on 2 or 3 parameter. So we should provide the output JSON. Okay. Next one is the list API. In the list API, it's the same thing. You should provide the output of the list API. Okay, and it will generate the all the code for the list API. Okay, so these tools has the can give you maximum benefit actually, because it generates lot of code and to develop or to build a web service. Next one is that XML to Pojo. So next these four, XML to Pojo, JSON to Pojo, XML to Java Bean, JSON to Java Bean. These four tools are almost very similar. Close to each other. Only thing is that for this XML to Pojo and XML to Java Bean, in these two, XML is the input. In other two, JSON to Pojo and JSON to Java Bean, these two, JSON is the input, but internally share common code actually. Where in this case it's JSON to Pojo. So what it does, it convert the JSON to XML, then it uses this tool actually. In this tool, we provide XML, and based on this XML structure, it will generate your bean classes. Okay, it generate your bean classes. Same way, JSON to Pojo, it's takes JSON as the input. Okay, then it convert JSON into XML, and then it became this tool actually, XML to Pojo. Okay, so these two are very close. Only thing is that here JSON is the input, another XML is the input, and it will generate the Java bean classes. Okay, Pojo classes. But here XML to Java bean. Okay, in this case, it will also produce the Java bean classes, but little bit difference here. Okay, so it will Java generate the Java bean class along with the bean classes for the request and response object, something like that. In general, in the bean classes, we will have the data type, a- accurate data type like integer, date. Okay, whether in the request and corresponding request and response bean object, we will have the data type all a string. Okay, so this tool will generate the Java bean for all three types of bean: request, response, or actual bean. And here you can provide your, like, what will be your variable name. By default it generates those, and it can give by your data type, actually what data type you are looking for actually. Okay, so it will generate the your Java bean classes as well along with that request and response bean classes. Okay, so these two are kind of same. Only thing is that in this case you will get this one, actual bean classes plus along with the request and response bean. Same way here, it's a JSON to Java bean. It just take JSON as the input, then convert this JSON to XML, and then it follow the path of the above one, XML to Java bean. Okay, so all these four are near about same. Only thing is that two JSON is the input, for another two XML is the input, and between these and these, where it produces a Java bean, in that bean all the data type will be string, but in this case it will produce Java bean as well as request and response bean. In the Java bean, data type will not all will not be string actually. Data type will be actual data type like date number, byte. All the actual data type will be there, and in the request and response Java bean all the data type will be string. Just use it, you will be able to understand it actually. Next one is the XSD to Java bean. So it will generate the Java bean from XSD. So what it does, it convert the XSD to XML. It take XSD as an input, then it convert it into the XML, and then it follow the above tool actually, XML to Pojo. Okay. So only what it extra it does is that it take XSD as the input, then convert XSD to XML, and then they follow the above tool to generate bean from XML. Okay. Next one is that hmm, yeah. Next, these two are mainly conversion, XML to XSD. Sometimes we have XML, but we need to generate the XSD and share with some other team, other project team. So in that case, if you give the XML, it will generate the XSD for you, and up on you can take the generated XSD and share with some other team, or you can do some extra modification on top of it. Same way, this is XSD to XML. So many times other team shared us XSD, but we need some sample XML. So this tool can be used to generate sample XML from XSD. Okay. Now generate XPath. This is the most intuitive and easy tool. If you give the XML, it will generate all the XPath for this one. Okay. And this is the most easy and intuitive tool. This is generate DO code. Okay, here sometimes we see now. This one we have a database table already present in that, but we need to write the data access code DO code to do the insert, update, and delete on that table. Okay, so it can happen that already database is existing, on tables are already existing. Just you need to write a application to insert data on that table or to update data or delete data on that table. So in this case, if you give the create statement of the table, if you give the create table statement for a table, then it will generate the all the DAO code, data access code, which uses Spring JDBC template. It generates it actually. So you can easily get all your Java code to access the table or to update the table using this tool. So it's a generate DAO code SQL to Java. So SQL is the input. SQL means create table SQL, and output is the Java code. The next tools are JSON to JavaScript. So it will generate the JavaScript if you give a JSON. Okay. So this JSON is the input, and to read that or to access the JSON as a JavaScript variable, so you can use the tool to get the JavaScript code. Okay. To declare this JSON in a variable object actually. So it will produce JavaScript code from JSON. So if you JSON is the input, output is the JavaScript. Same way JSON to Angular. In this case, it will produce the Angular JS code. If you give the JSON as the input, it will produce the Angular JS code to read the data from this JSON and display in a tabular format. Okay. Uh, Generate JSON path. It is similar to XPath. Only thing is that it will generate the JSON path. So if you give a JSON and just use this button, it will produce all the JSON, all the JSON path. Okay. Same way, you can test a JSON path also. Just you need to provide the this one your JSON and give a JSON path and hit this button. It will tell you the what is the value on that JSON path. Next is the Java generate JUnit test cases. Okay. In this tool, you can generate the JUnit test cases. In our project, we write Java classes and we need to write generate JUnit test cases for those Java classes. So here, if you give your Java class as an input, it will generate the JUnit test cases for all of your public method. But if you want to generate your JUnit test cases for private method also, you can just uncheck it actually. So it will generate the JUnit code for your Java class. Next is the virtual service. Okay. So virtual service is a big topic, but in a word, so many a time we need to create a virtual service which will behave like the like or which will mimic the actual service. So many time actual service is not available, but we want to have a service which can behave like the actual service. So you can create a virtual service similar to your actual service using this tool. Just you need to provide the your actual service input and output, and this tool will create a virtual service for you and it will generate a URL. Just you need to use that URL to invoke that virtual service. Okay. This one for REST virtual service, another is SOAP virtual service. Next is the comparator. So we have XML comparator, which you can compare two XML files or two XML content, and same I mean you can merge two XML also. Okay, you can compare and merge. Okay. Next one is the text file comparator. You can compare two text file, and third one is the JSON comparator. You can compare two JSON also. You have two JSON string. You can compare two JSON string, and you can merge them also. This is the comparator. Next is the tester. So sometimes you modify XSLT code add 2 3 line on the existing code, but we need to test it as well. Okay, so how to test it? Using this tool you will be able to test it. Just you need to provide a sample XML and your modified accessibility and just hit this button, you will be able to test it. Okay, this test accessibility. Next is uh, uh, test debug accessibility. Next is the XPath tester. Same way you can evaluate the value of XPath, or you can test the XPath whether it's working or not using this tool. Okay, it's a XPath tester. And next is JSON path tester. Same way you can test a JSON path. If you have a sample JSON and the JSON path, you can test your whether it's giving you the value or not. You will be able to test the JSON path. Okay, just you need to give the your sample JSON and JSON path. Okay, next is converter. So okay, these converters are very intuitive. Okay, I'll not go in details. Mainly this one, base 64 strings to image. It will convert a base 64 string to a image, JPEG image. Next one is the XML to JSON. It will convert a XML file to a JSON file, or XML content to a JSON content. Same way, it's a CSV to XML, CSV to JSON. So once we can convert your CSV file to XML file, CSV file to JSON file. Next is the SQL to JSON. This is not many important, but sometimes we need to have a JSON and to test the to test the service which will insert a record on the table or modify a record on the table. Okay, so you can generate a JSON which can be used to invoke a REST service from this SQL. So you see SQL to JSON. Okay. If you look into this, just it will give you the JSON string. Okay, and it give you the this one corresponding XML also. Whichever you need, you can use it. Okay. Next is XML to template. Template is like template is another XML where repetitive element will not be there. In a XML document, there could be repetitive element. Repetitive elements means one element twice actually. Okay. So like in this XML, there could be multiple book. Okay. Inside books, there could be multiple books. So when template, it will convert a template means if there is a multiple book also, it will remove keeping only one book element. Okay, so you can convert a XML document to its template format. In the template format, only repetitive element will not be there, only one element will be there. Okay, so it will allow you to convert XML to template. Next, uh, uh, XML to mapping. This is very useful actually. This is very useful. XML to mapping document. Normally, whenever we send data to any other application, and or we receive data from any other application, we 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 develop, or rather we create a interface agreement document or interface mapping document, where it's mainly Excel sheet where we give the source and target mapping actually. What is the source XPath, what is the data type, what is the value, and target XPath means this value will go to in which place actually. Okay, so source and target XPath we normally uh, give it in a Excel sheet. So that Excel sheet you can generate it from here actually. Just give your sample XML, it will produce the Excel sheet for you, your mapping document. Okay. This is very helpful because whenever we do the integration with any other system, this mapping document come into the picture, and it's a manual task. So you can use this tool to reduce your manual effort. Next one is mm, mapping. Next one is the JSON to YML. So it will convert a JSON string to YML string. Same way, it's a YML to JSON. It will convert YML string to JSON string, and this is text to HTML. So if you have a text, if you want to build a HTML code from that text, so you can use this one. Next one is the a list of utilities actually. So mainly XML utilities is very useful. There is a lot many things you can do it actually. Okay. So these all are related to XML operations. Okay. It's a XML utility. You can sort XML, you can format XML. Okay. Um, Same way there is a JSON utility for JSON strings. String utility is there. You can count the word, you can change the case, and those things. You can view it, and you can see what are the things it support actually. Okay. String utility. Next is text utility and short JSON strings. Text utility means here you can do some operation on the text actually, like removing blank lines, duplicate lines, indenting paragraphs, breaking one line into multiple lines. So you can do it actually. Okay. So text utility, this is the for text. Next is the sorting a JSON string. You can sort a JSON string using this tool. Sorting a JSON string. Next one is the Java code compliance. Mainly, you can generate the Java doc code, Java doc comment for your Java class. Just you need to provide the Java class, and you can generate the Java doc comment for your class as well as method. Okay, this is about Java doc. Next is uh, replace hard coded string. Okay, this is very useful, but I feel uh, people face difficulties to use it. So in this Java code, whenever we write a Java code, we hard code certain string actually, and it is not good, or it is not advised to use the hard coded string in your Java class. Rather, we should uh, define that string literal as a constant, and then we use that variable actually, that uh, variable into our Java classes. Okay. So what it can does is that if you give your Java class as an input, and if you give your constant file, what it will do, it will replace all your hard coded string with the constant defined in your constant file. Okay. As well as if something is new, totally new, that also it can generate the constant variable on the constant file, and you can take that one, add into constant file, and again you replace your or string hard coded string with the variable. Okay. Next is um, next is the valid XSD or XML. So when we receive any XML from a third party system, so we want to validate that XML against XSD. So you can validate either your XML or XSD. Anyway, to validate it, you need a XML and XSD. Okay. So you can validate your XML as well as XSD. Just you will give the XML and XSD, and if you hit this button, it will be able to validate your XML against this XSD. Or you can say that you can validate your XSD by an XML. Okay, so this is about the XSD validation. Next is the format XML and format JSON. So you can use this tool to format any XML string or XML content. Same way, format JSON also you can format a JSON string. Okay, and last one is the encode or decode a URL. So you can have a URL and you can encode it or decode it. So I hope I would be able to give a brief description of each and every tool, and all the tools are available here. Okay, and same tools are also available under all tool. Okay, here its grouping is little bit different way. Like for Java related, what are the tools are there? Okay, you can get it from easily here. For XML related, what are the tools are there? For REST API, what are the tools are there? Okay, XSLT, what are the tools are there? So this page is also very useful to know what are the tools available in this platform. Okay, so you can visit if you are not finding out, if you are not able to finding out your tool which you are looking for, what you can do, you can visit this page all tools, and here you should be able to figure it out, because here based on the like grouping is based on the category, like XML, XSLT, XPath, XSD. Okay, so you should be able to figure it out, this one tool. So in this page we have a link for all the tool, and here we have some reading materials, study materials, some videos, interview questions, answer, feedback. You can go through these links also. Mainly these links provide you all the sample code, interview questions, and this one, and some articles, all those. You can go through it whenever you need it. Okay. Thank you. Hope it will help you. Please do let us know your feedback. If you need any tool, any help, or any guidance, let us know. We will help you. We will provide the details, or we can give you a new tool also. In this home page, we have a campaign. Like if you have any idea, you can submit the idea. We will give you a coffee mug printed with easycodeforall.com. Or if you found any defect while you are using a tool, you can report that defect and win a coffee mug. Okay, so you can submit idea, you can report a defect, or even you can post your comment here also. You can post your comment here. Okay, so each and every page, and we have a comment box. You can post your comment, we will respond it. Okay, so thank you, thanks for using easycodeforall.com. We will meet you in the next video.